I think young people are just, it feels like this Israel-Palestine thing has been a tipping point for them. It has. I think it's been a tipping point for young people because when you think about it, young people have been growing up with an awareness of climate change. They have been growing up with an awareness of, our racist history and how that impacts things like the judicial system and policing and wages and generational wealth. So they're aware of our racist history, our genocidal history with the native peoples. They're aware of climate change and what little's being done about it. And in fact, out and out denial. And already, if somebody's 25 years old, think about this. If somebody's 25 years old right now, they were alive during 9/11 and the militarization of Homeland Security after it. They were alive during the real estate crash in 2008. They were alive during the Iraq War. They were alive during an extended campaign in Afghanistan, seeing a black president and the post-black president rise in racism, LGBTQ rights being freely available, and now they're wanting to take them back. Abortion being overturned, a woman's right to, autonomy over her own womb. So in 25 years, they've seen a lot, and they've seen prices escalate to the point of that 25 years in their lifetime where many of them probably feel like they're never going to be able to buy a home or never be able to get ahead financially. And they're pissed about it, as they should be. As they should. It's like you can either be depressed about it and just go get a job at the Tyson chicken factory and maybe your wrists 30 years from now, or you can get mad about it and try to do something about it. So I feel like the Palestinian protests are about more than just Palestine and Israel. I mean, they're definitely about that. They're about that struggle and they're about that genocidal relationship, but they're also about American imperialism and the American lie of like, we're the good guys, when in fact, oftentimes we're not the good guys, okay? America has spent a lot of time not being the good guys. And I mean, even right now, look at one of our candidates for president is a convicted felon, an adulterer, serial adulterer, convicted felon, tax cheat, business bankrupting scoundrel. I think that this mobilization under the Palestinian protests is going to be the start of people banding together and maybe civically unresting the late stage capitalist shit show that has become American life, where everybody's desperately clawing to become a millionaire or something so they can somehow be immune. There's like a giant rock concert called America, and 1% of the seats are immune to all the pain or most of the pain of the world. And everybody's fighting for that 1% of the seats. And if they don't get them, they're just going to be piss poor and miserable and end up dead. Or they're going to end up like the Trump people in California. You're going to end up like a bunch of resentful white people running around carrying 50 Trump flags at the beach, right? Look at these Trump people with their upside down flag carrying Trump flags. I mean, what the are those people doing, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like all the issues in the world. We got a genocide going on in Gaza. We got homeless people out on the beach. We got LGBTQ people that they're coming after their rights. Women are dying from, medical complications because they can't get an abortion. They're being threatened with the death penalty in some states. They do get an abortion. If they get raped, they're being forced to deliver the baby. There's people starving and going to bad schools with no money that can't afford to go to college. And there's a bunch of white people running around carrying huge Trump flags. Trump. They're carrying flags celebrating this guy. Make it make sense. Somebody, for the love of God, make it make sense. Why are a bunch of lower working class white Americans from the sticks that are just struggling to get by, why are they carrying flags celebrating this? Like, literally, I saw somebody post something on Twitter today. Like, they could be on fire, and this guy wouldn't walk over and piss on them to put it out. You know what I mean? And they're carrying flags for this guy, the guy with the golden toilet, as if he's their savior. Dude, what happened to us? Seriously, what happened to America? American exceptionalism it's dead and gone, boss. It does not compute, bro. They're carrying Trump won flags, bro. Trump didn't win. But dude, this is some sort of a mental disorder, bro. You know what I mean? It really is. It is some kind of verifiable mental disorder. I mean, dude, I've had many artist crushes over the course of my life, right? Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction. Dude, I was obsessed with Perry Farrell when I was 20 years old and when I was learning how to play guitar. I was obsessed with him. Okay, I was. Jane's Addiction, I was obsessed. I had serious rock and roll idolatry for Perry Farrell and several other rock and roll guys. You know, Lane Staley of Alice in Chains, Andrew Wood of Mother Love Bone. Of course, most of the guys I was obsessed with, Kurt Cobain, they all themselves or died of drug overdoses. So I wasn't exactly picking the most stable guys. But anyway, my point being is I loved those guys. I listened to their music. I was obsessed. I modeled some of my opinions about things after them, as many, 19, 20-year-old people do. But bro, I couldn't imagine standing on the side of the road carrying a Perry Farrell flag. You know what I mean? I just can't imagine it. It's mind-blowing to me, the mechanism that creates this kind of weird fealty is what it is. I think that's the best word for it, dude. The best definition is fealty, the obligation or the engagement to be faithful to a lord. That's literally what it is. The obligation. It's like a deification of Donald Trump. A large-scale deification. The obligation part. They're obliged to be faithful to him, regardless. It doesn't matter. Cheated on all his wives, they don't care. Even if they believe cheating is wrong and immoral, they don't care. Convicted felon, doesn't matter. Lies repeatedly, never does the things he says, doesn't matter. If he said the N-word, it wouldn't matter. If he, crushed a baby's skull on the beach right in front of him, it wouldn't matter. There is nothing that will turn them away from this man. They will even distort reality in order to maintain that connection. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump won. They're insisting that he won. They got to carry that flag. It's like this insistence. And now I imagine that the people that are doing this are deeply lonely or feel deeply disconnected. And they're probably finding some sense of connection. It's a thing you don't understand. He's not attractive in any way, isn't charismatic or personable. Yeah, well, I get that because to me, he's not charismatic or personable as well. However, I think certain demographics do actually find him very charismatic, particularly uneducated white people. They do. And they probably watched his show, 15 years ago. 20 years ago, they watched The Apprentice, and The Apprentice made him seem like this, he's a reality TV star. So he has the same lure to this demographic that, Kim Kardashian had to some. I mean, it's interesting because there's definitely something going on with the racism behind it. I know it's unspoken, but the Phoenix demographics, it's 42% white, 42% Hispanic, 7% black. Phoenix is hugely non-white. And yet, if you look at Trump's crowd in Phoenix, 90% of Trump's audience and crowd is white people. Even without him saying it. He doesn't come out there and say, oh, I'm a white supremacist, right? He doesn't announce it like that. I'm a white supremacist. But there is white supremacy like oozing in the man. And it goes all the way back to him being busted for not renting or selling to black people twice, okay, back in the 70s. and 80s, and countless investigations of him and lawsuits about the way black workers were treated in his casinos. I mean, he's extensively gone after the black president with the birther conspiracy and the Central Park Five. He's always had an extensive racist aspect of him that was unspoken, but deeply inherent in the way he behaved in the world, in the business world, and in the social world. And I believe that's actually part of the reason why the NFL would never let him buy in on a team, because I think they know it. I think everybody knows that about him. And if you look at the guys he surrounded himself in the cabinet with, like Stephen Miller, he has avowed white supremacists working for him. And he talks about replacement theory and the poisoning of the blood and racist tropes and all that other stuff. Anti-black or white, wealthy male power has always been the Trumpian thing. That's always been it. So I really believe that the brainwashing is intense, but I think the brainwashing is really a product of him, like, emitting, you know how you blow a dog whistle? Only dogs can hear it. So Trump blows a whistle, and people that are uncomfortable with any other racial diversity other than whites being in power and protected, anybody who's uncomfortable with the idea, they hear Trump talk and there's like a high-pitched soothing noise that they find comforting. I think the racism is 90% of his draw. Now, the other 10% of the people that are drawn to him are simply because of the money, because he's going to cut regulations and he's going to cut taxes, and very wealthy people, anybody who makes $1 million or more, stands to gain a lot from a Trump presidency. Like, the billionaires are rallying around him. That's pretty wild when you think about it, isn't it? We have billionaires just, falling over themselves to try and get him in office. Man, it's wild, dude. It's like the same people. It's the same flag that was at the other spot. Dude, it's like the same 200 people and they just keep moving them. We're going to take photos of them here. Then, all right, we're going to pack up. We're going to move you over down by the boardwalk. We're going to take some photos of you over there. But, dude, I find this a little bit worrying. You know what I mean? Not worrying in like, oh, I feel personally unsafe or anything like that. But I find it really worrying that people from the majority ethnic group in America, and the ethnic group that has done historically in this country the most harm, feeling so oppressed and feeling so lost and disconnected that they're having to sort of rally behind, a god, if you will. It is a scary direction because they treat him like a god, and that's gross. That's gross. I mean, it's gross enough, acting like there's a god and walking around with a huge chip on their shoulders, making everybody think that they're immoral because they don't believe like them. That's bad enough. But now they're actually trying to personify it, and they're personifying it with somebody who's not even a good human being. So would it be different if they all had Biden flags? So, dog, here's the deal, dude. If I walked outside and there were just rows of people walking around carrying Biden flags, I would be reconsidering my political party, okay? That was one of the things that I didn't like about Bernie Sanders back in 2016. Was Bernie Sanders walked around. I loved some of his policies. I loved his ideas about Medicare for all and education. But he walked around as though he were a deity saying, I'm the only guy who can fix this. And I wouldn't vote for him. I'm not voting for a man who says he's the only person out there that can fix something, that stirs up that kind of fervent religious sort of passion. It's not healthy, bro. It is very cult-like. The president is not a demigod. The president is just a dude who represents a political party. It's like your boss, okay? If you work at McDonald's, There's a guy who like owns the McDonald's. If all his employees were carrying, your boss's name is Dave, and you go to work and all the employees are out there waving Dave flags in the parking lot, waiting for Dave to show up, you'd be like, dude, what the is wrong with this McDonald's? I ain't working here. These people are nuts. Dave is just a dude, bro. Joe Biden's just a guy, man. He's an old man. He's a president. He's not a savior. He's not a god. He's not somebody who's going to rescue like all of humanity from its ills. Like, dude, he's a human being, man. He's going to try to make the world a better place, and he doesn't have all the answers. And he'd be the first to admit he doesn't have all the answers. But so, yeah, if they were all waving Biden flags, I'd be bouncing my ass out of the Democratic Party, because that's bizarre behavior. I don't like the demagoguery. When you're worshiping the man and not the platform, like the platform should be the thing that we're celebrating, not the man. If you're worshiping a man, you're a weirdo. It's the same shit with like Andrew Tate, all those gamer kids who were like, Tate, Tate, Tate. It's like, bro, if you're worshiping a guy that he has all the answers, you're in the wrong spot. It doesn't work like that. Nobody has all the cure or the answers. They're just people. This is really bizarre behavior. The other thing that's really interesting about it is some of it stems to that tokenism, where they look at the idea of waving a flag as being emblematic of their patriotism. Let's roll back to Colin Kaepernick, for example. Okay, Colin Kaepernick, Brandon Marshall, a whole bunch of guys in the NFL. They went down, and before the game, while they were listening to this song about American freedom, they knelt down and they put their heads down to honor the fact that there was abuse going on, systemic abuse, and they wanted to bring light to it. They wanted to bring some attention to suffering that was going on with our fellow Americans. That's patriotic, right? There's people that are suffering. There's some injustice here. Let's get together and help our fellow brothers and sisters out. Colin Kaepernick and these guys took a knee, and they were being incredibly patriotic. They were putting their careers at risk. They were using their platform to draw eyes to this problem that many of their brothers and sisters have been complaining about for 100 years. And what was really interesting is these people who are waving flags and shit were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, you got to put your hand over your heart. You got to take your hat off. You got to stand up during that song. But like, they weren't even focusing on the song. The song is about the brave, about the free, about the speaking up, about the taking the fight and making the world a better place and making it more available to everyone in it. The song isn't about you must stand up and wave a flag. Waving a flag doesn't make you patriotic. You could wave a flag and be a chicken shit who never speaks up about injustice. You could wave a flag and not pay your taxes. You could wave a flag and, not engage in your civic duty, right? Somebody like Donald Trump, he'll hug a flag, but he made up bone spurs to avoid military service. He didn't even stand up and say, I don't agree with the war. I'm going to Canada. He made up a lie to cheat his way out of military service. And then he wants to hug a flag. But like, dude, hugging a flag when you're lying to avoid military service, not even standing up for what you believe in, that's not patriotic. Patriotism is being willing to do the work to make this country better and more accessible for everyone. But there's so much tokenism that goes on. A lot of these people, they show up at these rallies and they got the American flag. They think wearing an American flag shirt means they're patriotic. But I hate to break it to you that, simply wearing a flag or waving a flag is not a symbol of patriotism. That's a symbol of doing like the tritest, easiest, most risk-free thing to sort of signal you're patriotic. It really is. The tokenism is really a huge part of this movement. They want their symbols. They want their red hat. They want their Trump or their American flag shirts. And then they feel like that's a symbol of their patriotism. And they're like, oh, but you guys, we don't see any Biden signs. So therefore, he doesn't have any supporters, right? It's like religious people that talk the talk, don't walk the walk. They just wear a cross. And then they're cheating on their wife, but they show up and they have the cross on their lapel. Homie's cheating on his wife, but he's got his beautiful little cross. And he's telling the world that he's, a man of God, a man of Jesus. And then as soon as the world's not looking, he's in a motel just banging the shit out of some woman or, some guy, right? As many of them do. And then he's out there proselytizing. But the thing is the crosses, the MAGA hats, the Trump flags, all that, we don't really need that. Now, there are some instances where I think flags are helpful. Like, for example, I know MAGA hates this, but like the pride flag, okay? Everyone's like, why do you hang pride flags? But pride flags are real simple because there's been a history of people that are LGBTQ, of getting their asses kicked, getting beaten up, refused service, flat out abuse, even by the police who are there to protect them. They've lived in a world where they're not safe. So when a business hangs a pride flag on the wall, what that business is doing is it's letting all the LGBTQ people know that they're safe there, right? That's really important. And again, there's nothing wrong with having an American flag. I think having a flag for a person is a little weird, bro. It's a little weird. But again, if you want to have a Trump flag, that's fine. But going out and waving them around in public and then acting like because you're doing that, that means you won the last election. That's definitely bizarre. It's wild because they hate pride flags, and they hate Palestinian flags, and they hate Ukraine flags. But damn, boss, they do love those Trump flags. But we have some very real problems that we do need to address that aren't about waving flags. Like, what are we going to do about corporations buying homes? What are we going to do about that? We should be talking about that instead of pride flags. Pride flags are not going to affect your future unless you're just, hysterically scared that your kid's going to be gay. And so you're afraid if he sees a pride flag and he's gay, he's going to decide it's okay for him to be gay. And he's not going to pretend to be straight to fulfill your silly religious obligations. Other than that, a pride flag doesn't affect you at all. It's immaterial. It's not going to prevent you from getting a house. It's not going to prevent you from feeding your kids. It has no impact on you. Why the fuck are they worried about that shit? But now, Blackstone buying houses and hedge funds buying houses, that is going to affect you. That could make it so you can never buy a house, or your kids can never buy a house, or your kids' kids can never buy a house. That's really huge. It's a huge problem. But we don't talk about the huge problems. I mean, some people are. I know AOC is talking a little bit about this, and there are some Democrats that are talking about that. But mostly, from these flag wavers, they want to talk about, pride flag, or they want to talk about gay kids instead of talking about corporations buying houses or Nestle buying aquifers. You know what I mean? Or the temperature going up and up and up and up, and they're just like, we want more oil. We want more oil. We want to drive an SUV that gives 12 miles to the gallon. Give us more oil. It's like, you dumb bro. What are they going to do? What good's your SUV going to be when it's 137 degrees outside and you can't even drive during the summer? It's like, hello? Get a fucking hybrid, bro. But this shit is just weird behavior. USA, 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 USA. See, this is weird behavior. Think about this. Why are they chanting USA? USA. Like, why are they doing that? Who is not USA? I mean, hello? They love Trump, but like Joe Biden, all the Democrats, they're also USA. We're all USA. You and Trump and Biden and Kennedy and all the gay people and all the trans people and all the Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs and Canadians and undocumented people and Hispanic people and everybody from every different country under the sun, male, female, whatever gender designation, non-binary you want, we're all USA. Like, you go to the Olympics and people are going to be screaming USA because there's a whole bunch of other countries that they're fighting with. They're competing. So they're cheering USA because they're going up against China and Russia and Japan. They're rooting for the team. But this presidential election, we're all on the same team. That's really telling. The fact that they're sitting there chanting USA, they're implying that everybody else is not USA. They're chanting USA because they believe that they are the USA. Now, you see how that's problematic? Because we're all USA. That's not patriotism when you want to look at the rest of the country and pretend that they're not even part of your country. This isn't patriotism. This is the same separatist ownership nationalism that they try to do with religion. They do the same shit with religion, where they stand out there with their crosses and their morality and they talk about how people are immoral and they're filth, but they're basically shouting Christianity, 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 as though everything else is not valid. That's f***ed up, bro. I mean, we really need to look at this, guys, because this populist nationalist movement, it's a scam, bro. It's a scam. Was America great in 2017? Because they weren't happy in 2017. These people, even when Trump was in the White House, they weren't happy. We're in a weird state where we have the protests going on at the White House of people who are demanding an end to genocide and demanding a detangling from supporting governments that engage in genocidal behavior. And we have young people that want to, like, stop imperialism. And then on the other side, though, we have a group of people carrying flags, expressing fealty to this one man, insisting that he's the only thing. He's the only solution for all of their problems, this one dude. That's a little frightening. Is there some financial reward for whoever has the deepest level of Trump mental illness, has the most flags attached to their vehicle? They get a cash award? I mean, look at this car, dude. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my God, dude. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's like 20 flags on this thing, dude. Dude, there's 20 flags, bro. And like all this red, white, and blue. Trump stickers. It even says Trump on the tires. Tell me, though, that's not a mental illness. Dude, what on earth, bro? They're wearing some sort of a Trump mask, dude. Tell me I'm not the only one that looks at this and thinks, like, this is mental. I know a lot of these people, they claim to be Christians, but Jesus Christ himself could come back and he would not get this level of fanfare. He wouldn't. He would come back and they'd be like, first off, they'd be mad because they'd think he was Arab or Palestinian, right? They'd want to deport him. That would be the first problem with Jesus coming back. But this is nuts, dude. So what are they going to do 4 years from now if he wins? Okay, say he wins. All right. I still don't think he's going to win. I think when push comes to shove, we're going to kick him to the curb. There's too much riding on this election. However, I've seen America do stupid, self-destructive things before. In my 50 years, I've watched this country do insanely self-destructive things in the name of not owning up to our own pain. So I think Trump's going to lose, but I never put it past America to just do the most self-destructive, worst possible thing for itself because of, a combination of ignorance and entitlement. that can lead to really bad decision making. When you're entitled and you're ignorant, it's real easy for you to make decisions that f yourself and everyone around you over. So there is a possibility that Trump could win in November. But if he did, okay, if he did, we have 2 terms here. So look at all this investment here. These people are like Trump, 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 Trump. He's the only one. He's the only solution. So that means if he were to win in November, 4 years from now, there's no more Trump ever. That's the end of Trump. Like, what are they going to do? Trump, God's choice to save America and the world. God's choice, bro. Look at this woman, dude. What is her story, bro? Look at her. Holy shit, she is decked out. How many fucking martinis is this woman chugged, dude? That's wild, bro. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be spending all this time on this, but I am truly fascinated by this. There is something going on right now in our country